Welcome to the Empty Nest Kitchen, where we're finding fun in the kitchen now that the kids have flown the coop. I'm Christine Van Bloom, a cooking teacher with over 25 years of experience, here to show you tips, tricks, and joy in your kitchen, all while trying something new. Let's get cooking.
Well, oh, happy day. I am here today, and we are talking about the Mediterranean pantry. And I know you're like, oh, that's so exciting, Christine. No, it really, really is. Because listen, I know that in Europe and all of these great places, they make a habit of going to the market every day or every other day. But I am tired. And I do not want to make my trip to Wegman more than once a week. And if I'm being honest, maybe every week and a half, even 2 weeks, because it's a lot. It's really overwhelming to go to these big grocery stores. So what I like to do is make sure that I have got stuff on hand so that I can pull something together without having to think about it. Now, I definitely do the menopause meal plan. You know, I love that. And that gives me 3 dinners that I don't have to think about, right? Good stuff. But the other nights, I want to make sure I can pull something together really easily using what I've got. So let me tell you about the Magnificent Seven, or your Mediterranean pantry heroes, right? These are the 7, let's call them categories of things that I recommend having in your pantry so that you can pull something together pretty quickly, right? So let's start it off right. You know it. You love it. It's your favorite. Number 1, you got to make sure you've got some extra virgin olive oil hanging around. Now, olive oil comes in different grades and different prices and from different countries. You've got to buy what works for you. But now that you're not feeding, all the kids and 10,000 people and the cross-country team and all of that, you deserve to splurge on something that's maybe a little yummier. And when I think extra virgin olive oil, because it has a low smoke point, that means it burns a little more easily, I always think of it as the oil that isn't going to get heated, right? I try not to cook with extra virgin olive oil because there's so many great nuances in these oils. It's just like wine, right? There's so many nuances. And depending on the country that it comes from, the region, depending on the type of olives, they have all sorts of different characteristics. Sometimes I like a really rich, mellow kind of olive oil. And sometimes I want one that's a little more peppery. Maybe it has a little bit of a bite to it almost. You can find all of these different flavors, even in your own grocery store, I promise. But since we're empty nesters now and we're working through the thing, what say you splurge a little, give yourself a little treatsy, and maybe go to one of those fancy olive oil stores. Here in my wonderful little town, we actually have 2, and both of them are fantastic. I love to get something special from there. And when I'm talking extra virgin olive oil, I'm not talking about a flavored oil, which those are also great. And I won't yuck your yum. If that's what you're into, grab one. But I love just a really great classic extra virgin olive oil. Now, if you're looking for one on a budget, Goya actually has a really decent grocery store extra virgin olive oil that is very highly rated. Comes off really well. It's super affordable. Bottle isn't huge. I say if you're into it, pick up a bottle and give it a try. And always think of these as like finishing oils or oils for dressings or oils for drizzling. If you want to saute with olive oil, instead you're going to look for a pure olive oil. Now, this has a slightly higher smoke point, so no, you cannot do high heat cooking with it, but you can cook with it without hurting or burning the oil. I know, hurting the oil, that sounds so chefy. Oh my gosh. But you can totally make that work for you if you're going to do that. So I'll keep a bottle of pure olive oil, mostly for sauteing. Right now, I'm using a lot of avocado oil and all this. You could go crazy town, but get yourself something that you like. Get yourself something that maybe you can taste beforehand and keep that stocked, of course, in a cool, dark place. Not your fridge. It's a fat. We don't want to chill it, but keep it not next to your stove. We don't want high heat that'll damage it. I remember I was at my friend Stacy's and she had this gorgeous little setup with the oil and all the things. And it was far enough away from her stove, but in the afternoon, the sun just beat down on it. And that's going to hurt the oil, okay? So it's going to heat it up. It's going to take some of those nuances away. So you don't want to have it stored in the sunlight and you don't want to store it too close to the stove. I actually store mine in a cabinet across the kitchen. It's just what works in my kitchen. So, number 1, extra virgin olive. Number 2, one of my favorite things right now, whole grains. Now, if you can find quick cooking versions of whole grains, like barley or farro, those are amazing. Trader Joe's has a 10-minute farro that I love. And these grains have what I would call a little more stick-to-itness for your ribs, right? It's going to fill you up. They're hearty. They have more going on than if you were doing a white pasta. And I have to tell you, it's just a matter of personal taste. I do not love the whole wheat pastas, or I just don't love them. I think it's 50 some years of eating white pasta. I just haven't been able to lean into those. So instead, I go with these whole grains. Farro salads, amazing. I'm even going to make one tonight for dinner because there's a diner here in the area called the Silver Diner. And part of their shtick is that they're really doing healthy food. So, of course, you can go and get a cheeseburger and all that, but they have all these really great healthy options that really taste good. My friend Sarah and I go for shakshuka breakfast sometimes. But they have a farro salad that is out of this world, or maybe it's a farro bowl, where it's got the cooked farro. And whenever you're cooking with these whole grains, do yourself a favor and instead of just cooking them in water, cook them in broth, chicken broth, vegetable broth. It just gets a little flavor into the grain. So I'll do that tonight when I'm making this dish that I replicate from the Silver Diner. But I'm going to do the farro, and then I'm going to stir in a bunch of arugula. I love arugula because it's so peppery and crisp. Oh, so good. I'm debating whether I'm going to grill or maybe even air fry some shrimp to go with it. I'm going to make a vinaigrette out of some roasted tomatoes. I don't know if y'all have ever had the roasted tomatoes. I think they kick the touche of any sun-dried tomato. They're so good. The flavor is out of this world. And I will use the oil from the tomatoes to help make a vinaigrette for the dressing. Then I love pistachios, so I'm definitely throwing some pistachios in. And, of course, I'm going to take a ball of burrata and put that in as well. It is so darn good. And if you are making these whole grains, you can easily double it up, triple it up, and have some in the fridge. Heck, you can make them and have them in the freezer. Just make sure when you freeze them that you're putting them into a Ziploc bag or a resealable bag. Make it flat, squeeze all that air out. When you make it flat, it thaws so much more quickly. And air is the enemy of all things frozen. Gotta know that. So you can totally make these, freeze them, have them ready to go, have them in the fridge to throw into salads, to throw into soup, to use as a grain bowl. Fabulous options. And that brings us to number 3, capers and olives. Now, I know some of you just like, ugh. And let me tell you, for as much as I love olive oil, I am not a fan of olives, but if you like olives, they bring that brininess to a dish that can really enhance it. And capers do the same thing, right? So capers are a berry on a bush. You can get really big ones. You can get little ones. We're used to the little ones. Chicken piccata. Some people say, oh my gosh, don't love them because they're salty, right? For sure, they're little salt bombs, but they can really bring another dimension into some of your foods. It's really terrific. And let me tell you, my favorite use for capers, I fry them in just a little bit of vegetable oil. If I fry, very rarely, I put just a teeny bit of vegetable oil in, just enough so that the capers will be submerged. I heat it up, you got to dry those capers, right? Because any liquid like water and oil, So you pat the capers dry and then you put them in the oil and they fry in, 30 seconds, 45 seconds. And they kind of open up like a little flower and they get so crispy. I remember making deviled eggs. I found a recipe once for deviled eggs that had fried capers, lemon zest, and parsley. And let me tell you, I make these all the time. I make them all the time. When I'm having a party or some, people go crazy. And I watched my brother-in-law just going, oh my gosh, fried capers, what? Because they are so darn tasty. So give that a try. But again, if you're frying anything, make sure it's dry, no moisture, right? Because safety first. So if you go back to the beginning days of this incredible podcast, you will find that I have an episode on tinned fish. And let me tell you, it's number 4. And I know you're going, no, not going to do it. I hate anchovies. Okay, that's totally cool. But let me tell you, and you can go back and listen to the episode. I'll put it in the show notes. But let me tell you that tinned fish today is luxe, baby. It is luxe. It is nothing like, I swear, it is nothing like when my dad cracked open a can of sardines. And I think I actually get it, right? This is not the same thing. Portugal has a store in Times Square dedicated solely to Portuguese sardines. I kid you not. The whole store. It's colorful. It's bright. I have this wonderful person I work with. His name's Jason. Oh my God, he's amazing. He brought back 6 tins of Portuguese sardines, and I have been rationing them because they are so fancy. And one of the things you can do is make a charcuterie board. And I did this at New Year's. I think I might have mentioned it. But I took a bunch of different tinned fishes. I had an octopus. I had trout. Oh gosh, a really great smoked trout. I had a salmon of some sort. I think it had preserved lemon. I don't know. I think I pulled out some white anchovies. My husband loves anchovies. Pulled those all out, and I did little bowls with like capers and lemon wedges, like little tiny lemon wedges, and dill and creme fraiche. Get spring for the creme fraiche, babe. Spring for it. It's so good. And crackers and crusty bread. And let me tell you, that is a meal. And if you get folks to try it, I remember one of my friends who's a really adventurous eater said, I just don't know. I just don't know, Chris. I don't know. And really, she is awesome. She is an adventurous eater. And I said, no, let me just put one together for you. I took a little piece of the smoked trout. That was from Fishwife, which is a company that does tons of luxe tinned fish. I put the smoked trout on a cracker with just a little smear, like the tiniest smear of creme fraiche and a little tiny sprinkle of dill and a little spritz with the little tiny lemon wedge, and gave it to her. And I watched her eyes get big and she was like, that was delicious. I'm like, yeah, it was. So tinned fish, you are on the upward trajectory here. All of your friends will think you're super cool. I promise. Guaranteed. Not really. But
It's a really fun thing to put out. It's unusual. You're not finding it everywhere lately. And let me tell you, it's great for kind of if you want to do, we call them carpet picnics, when some people will say girl dinner, right? When you're just pulling things that don't match and stuff out of the cupboards. We love it. My husband and I love it. Every once in a while, we're like, okay, let's just do carpet picnic. And this is the time to pull out those tinned fishes and pull out some crackers, and you can have a dinner like that. I promise. It's so good. It's so good. So, number 4, quality. Quality is important. Quality tinned fish. And let me just say, if you're going for anchovies, look for white anchovies because they aren't fancy ones and they taste really different from the anchovies that you're typically going to put into Caesar dressing or something like that. All right. On to number 5. We're talking about our dried herbs. Now, this is not the time. We are not in the phase of our life where we are going to Costco to get our big containers of dried herbs. When I owned the kitchen studio, I would do that all the time because we went through them, right? We used them. But now we're cooking for a smaller quantity, right? And my friend Caroline always said, herbs don't die, they just fade away. Because that's what happens. They just lose their potency. Now, McCormick's will tell you that you should be replacing your herbs every 6 months because McCormick's owns a spice company. So, of course, they're saying that. But once your herbs lose that kind of fresh smell, it's not like you can't use them. You totally can, but you'll need more to get the same amount of pop out of it. So instead, I like to buy smaller quantities. And I know you're thinking, well, it's so expensive when you go and you go to the spice aisle or the baking aisle and you pick up that little container of thyme. You're totally right. This is when we're going for the bulk store, right? We're going for the bulk section in the store. And I kid you not, everybody's got it. I was shopping at Wegmans. They have them there. You have to peek around a little to find them. And it's not typically where you're going to find any bulk grains or anything like that, but it's near the produce section. And if you want to buy, a teaspoon of something, you totally can. I recommend buying a little more than that, but you can buy just a little more than what you need, and it's really economical. And I'm putting it out in my newsletter next week. I have all these cool storage options coming. You can get the cutest little glass containers. I have these really neat glass containers that I keep all of my herbs and spices in, right? So consider buying in the bulk section. And of course, we're looking at oregano, thyme, and bay leaves as Mediterranean superstars. And if you've got it, try to grow some oregano and thyme this year. But I'll tell you, keeping those in the pantry, really great. And keeping just what. All right, coming up, number 6. This goes with number 1. But get a good vinegar. I know that you can buy red wine vinegar really inexpensively at the grocery store. I know that you can. But maybe splurge when you're buying that good olive oil. Maybe splurge and buy a really nice red wine vinegar. And while you're at it, get a real balsamic vinegar too. Because sometimes what you're getting at the grocery store is maybe a wine vinegar that has a balsamic flavoring to it. I know. But it's totally true. Sometimes that's what you're getting. The important is that you've got something that you enjoy. That's the most important part. All right. But that's what we're going for. A good red wine vinegar and a good aged balsamic. That's all you need, really. Now, I do love to add a white wine vinegar in there as well. I don't know, sometimes I don't want the color and I want a little different flavor, but I think these are all you really need. And then, again, if you're feeling fancy, where I don't really go for flavored olive oils, I do go for the flavored vinegars. This store by me has this
stupid garden herb vinegar that I cannot get enough of. I'm going to use that tonight with the oil from those roasted tomatoes and a little olive oil to make my dressing for that farro bowl. It is so darn good. And if you go to one of the fancy shops, you'll be able to taste everything to see what you like. And did you know there's a drink called a shrub? And it has vinegar in it. It's really refreshing. It's great for the summer. If you're feeling fancy, ask them, because I promise you, any store that's selling really good vinegar, they will tell you all about a shrub. But let's keep a couple of good vinegars in the pantry. And then finally, this is seriously one of my favorite things. Nuts, baby. Nuts. Because pistachios, pine nuts, walnuts, so good. Almonds, not necessarily too Mediterranean, but I love them, right? And pistachios, they're so good. Chop them up. I put them on top of salmon. I put them on top of bowls. They're so yummy. But what you want to be sure of is that you are storing all of the nuts that you're using in the freezer. Because nuts, we know, are naturally higher in fat. And what happens is, if they're sitting in your cupboard for too long, the fat will go rancid in the nuts, and your nuts turn, and they're just not good. They just taste bad. By keeping them in the freezer, you're really slowing that process down. And when you toast nuts, and I think you should toast pretty much all of them, because that brings out another level of flavor, right? That brings out a whole nother level of flavor to the nut. And I never put them in oil or anything like that when I'm toasting, because they have enough fat in them just as they are. So I will dry toast them in a skillet on top of the stove. I don't put them in the oven because I forget about them. It's a personal thing. I've burned so many that I do it now on the top of the stove. And when you start to smell them, you know that they're done. I just shake a pan. I'm paying attention as I'm doing it, because they can go from to really, really quickly. So let's go over the list one more time. At number 1 for our Magnificent 7, we've got extra virgin olive oil. Number 2, we've got a variety of whole grains. 3, we've got capers and olives. Coming in with our quality tinned fish at number 4, and those dried herbs at number 5. Finishing it out with good vinegars and, of course, some really good that you're going to keep in the freezer. Because remember, it brings added crunch. It brings a lot of dimension. And when we're putting a dish together from our pantry, we want to think about dimension. And we're hitting all of those flavors in that list. You can do so much with these couple of things. It's going to be amazing. So, listen, if you are not signed up for the email list, I would love to have you sign up. You can visit emptynestkitchen.com, and I am sending out tidbits about all of this, like good information for your empty nest kitchen just about every week. So, as always, thank you so much for listening. I've got a great guest coming on next week. You are going to love her. So, thank you so much. I'll see you next week. And as always, I'll see you in the kitchen.